Welcome to the Book of Saints podcast, brought to you by St. John Chrysostom Coptic Orthodox Church of Laguna Niguel, California.
On the 20th day of the Coptic month of Paopi, which is usually on November 9th, we celebrate the life of St. John the Short. Born John Kolobos, which means the little or the dwarf, in 339 AD in Upper Egypt to a poor but holy family. His desire for a monastic life from his early years led him to remote places where he trained himself for his austere lifestyle. Led by divine inspiration when he was only 18 years old, he went to the wilderness of Skete and devoted his whole heart to put on the Spirit of Christ. He went to become a disciple of the old hermit Abba Pemurah, who was also the teacher of Saint Pishoy, the perfect man. Abba Pemurah tried to deter John from his harsh monastic life, but that night an angel appeared to him, asking him to accept the young John as a monk. After 3 full days of fasting and prayer, the master and the disciple witnessed an angel blessing the new clothes John was to put on. John renounced all distraction and entertainment, and since monasteries were not built at that time, only hermits were populating the desert. He endured all the difficult tests as an experienced master rather than a bright disciple. Abba Pemurah led him to perfect watchfulness, solitude, subduing the body, meekness, silence, humility, simplicity, and obedience. Abba Pemurah taught John about silent obedience, saying to him, "My son, be silent lest evil thoughts overtake your mind and lose your soul. Particularly in church, we ought the most to be careful in order to be worthy of the presence of holy mysteries." Pemurah told John to plant in the ground a walking stick and water it every day till it should bring forth fruit. John did so with great simplicity, though the river was about 12 miles away from the stick. When he had continued his task diligently and without protest, the stick in its 3rd year had taken root, sprouted leaves, and produced fruit. John gathered the fruit, carried it to the church, and giving it to some of the brethren, saying, "Take and eat of the fruit of obedience." He never discussed worldly affairs, and never spoke of news, the ordinary amusement of the superficial. He stressed the importance of quietness, saying, "The long quietness prevails. The weaker the pains of lust become, and the healthier the mind becomes until it reaches peace." His mind dwelt constantly on divine issues. He used to take one of the commandments each day and worked hard to perfect it. He was so intent on the things of God that he became very absent-minded, avoiding the words of men and their discussions, and so to cultivate the thoughts of peace. In 374, Abba Pemurah departed after suffering 12 years of illness, during which John tended to him. At his last moments, Pemurah called John the angel of God on earth, and instructed him to make his abode next to the tree of obedience. Then, leading by example, he surpassed all the elders in their self-control. When he had made a comment to a non-obedient brother during harvest, he begged him to forgive him, and spent the whole year fasting, eating only bread and salt every 3rd day, praying, "Forgive me, O Lord, for I angered your creation." John's disciples were increasing in number, and came from everywhere to his abode by the tree of obedience, where a monastery was later built and remained open until the 17th century. When he drew near his end, his disciples entreated to leave them some final lessons of Christian perfection. He sighed that he might avoid the air of vanity, alleging his own doctrine. He said, "I never followed my own will, nor did I ever teach another what I had first practiced myself." When he departed, a servant saw the angels carrying his soul to heaven, accompanied by the spirit of the saints. His servant treated the body with honor and carried him to the village. Later, in 515, his body was taken to the desert of Skete. There are 2 important lessons that St. John the Short shares. One was the importance of silence and quietness in our lives. We spend so much time going back and forth that our minds are in constant state of frantic, tangled, worried, and concerned, squeezing out the presence of God in our daily life. The practice of stealing a few moments from your day for quiet contemplation and silence is both spiritually healthy, but mentally, physically, and emotionally very rewarding. Calm the storms of your day with a moment of silence and stillness. His other lessons to practice what you preach. Have an honest discussion with yourself about what you tell people and what you actually do. A confession to yourself, not to expose yourself to others, but to be true to yourself. Catch those moments where you feel you are saying one thing but doing another, and question the reason why. Then take your moment of quiet stillness from this truth to unwind your tangled life. Lord, as you give us this day our daily bread, help us savor the sweetness of this daily treat, to find the moments to enjoy and rejoice in the quietness of your care. May the prayers of St. John the Short be large on your behalf. Amen.